Alright, so Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 has officially been released in theaters. And it is time to talk about this because, oh my god, this is one of the best theatrical experiences I have seen in a while. Like, visually stunning. Everything about this is great. So, and it's really funny how topical this releases with right now, and how there's a writer strike, there's probably going to be an actor strike, all because of AI. And it's really funny how this movie is AI. The main villain of this movie is an AI called, I believe it's called the Dead Reckoning, but I could just be making that up. But I'm pretty sure at one point it was referred to as the Dead Reckoning, whether I thought it was or not. But they typically refer to it as the entity. And it's just really funny how this AI is taking over the world in the Mission Impossible franchise, while the actors and writers are currently striking to have better procedures and restrictions in place for AI. So I just had to point that out because I thought it was pretty funny. But the story is pretty simple. Ethan Hunt must do whatever it takes once again to get the job done. And that's his mission, should he choose to accept it. The story, while not complete, obviously because it's a part 1 of 2, does feel like it ends satisfyingly enough for part 1 of 2. It's not a super cliffhanger ending like other part 1s of 2, and it doesn't just leave you wanting more because you're like, hey, that sucked. It leaves you wanting more because they do something good. So, it's the case of Mockingjay Part 2 versus, or Mockingjay Part 1, sorry, and Across the Spider-Verse. Across the Spider-Verse leaves you wanting more after providing something very entertaining and worthwhile, while Mockingjay Part 1 leaves you wanting more because what you just watched was pretty boring and lame. The reason I use these two is because they're the most recent part 1s of 2 that I've seen not including this one. But story-wise, a solid hand grenade score. Just perfect. Near perfect. We'll see how it ends. In the terms of cinematics, Tom Cruise does it again. Last year, Top Gun Maverick was really good to watch and really entertaining because of their use of a lot of practical visual effects and stunt work. He does it again. And there's a scene in this film that really makes me think that in my headcanon, he didn't tell Hayley Atwell what she signed up for. And Tom just just said, hey, roll the cameras, we're doing this. And then that's her genuine emotion and not necessarily the character, even though the character would do something similar. I love the stunt works in this. The entire third act is so insane. There's a really cool car chase in the middle of the film. Probably one of my favorite car chases. It's really funny. This movie's so much funnier than I was expecting it to be. The music, once again, that Mission Impossible score absolutely slaps, and there is nothing wrong with it. And the way they change it to be a little more serious and oh yeah, there's gonna be death in this one. It's called Dead Reckoning for a reason. And how it's heavier hitting and lower. It's so good. So good. Just everything. Everything was so good. I really love the whole fact that this movie and John Wick 4 both span multiple hours, delivering very entertaining and appetizing action sequences that really leave you satisfied by the end and sated in your action hunger. And it's really great to see these two come out in the same year. Both have all their globe-trotting fun and deliver a satisfying story. Because that's one thing that I do have to say about this one. It does feel like it ends. And it's not it's funny how this one is marketed as a part 1 of 2, when it does kind of work as its own thing, while Spider-Verse was not marketed as a part 1 of 2 and doesn't really work as its own thing, but in my opinion it still does. I've been jabbering on and on. I'll save that for the expectations and experience. But yeah, cinematics, hand grenade score, easy. Directing, Christopher McQuarrie is getting better and better with each new Mission Impossible film he does. I liked Rogue Nation. It was good. Fallout was way better. And this one, in my opinion, is on par with Fallout. Slightly weaker in some parts, probably because it's technically a part 1 of 2. But like, it is still very entertaining, very good. I really liked how, for the first time ever, I think the main stunt that they advertised in the trailers is not the first thing. Like in Rogue Nation, they advertise Tom Cruise hanging out of the plane. It's the first action set piece in the film, which is really funny to me. This one is like not the first one, and it kind of makes me laugh a little bit. It's closer towards the end, but once you see it, there's a really funny line that is in the movie that makes it even better. Solid hand grenade score there as well. Now, here's what I want to talk about: the acting. Oh my god, Tom Cruise does it again. Ving Rhames does it again. The only two to show up in every single Mission Impossible movie, which I think is insane that only 2 characters are in every single one of them. Simon Pegg, once again, lovably charming. He's got a lot more room to joke around, and I really find that, I appreciate that. Rebecca Ferguson does a great job once again. Hayley Atwell does a great job with what she's given. I actually really enjoyed her character. It was really interesting to see there's an interesting concept with her character and how every person who gets recruited into the IMF is, and I really liked that. That like little balance and reflection on, oh my gosh, yeah, Ethan Hunt could have been just like Grace, or Luther was actually just like Grace, if you remember seeing the first one. And it's very interesting how that all played out. But in my opinion, there's not a bigger standout character. Like, I just really enjoyed a scene stealer, really, Pom Clementief's Paris. Pom Clementief in this film was a badass, silent assassin, and I just really liked the characterization and the fact that this character didn't say many lines, and when she spoke, only one line really came out in English and didn't need subtitles. The rest were all in French, which makes it even funnier. If you remember the Avengers superhero fantasy football league that they had a few years ago, and how they always did these trash talk videos, and then Pom Clementief did one that she sang all in French, and happened to have Rebecca Ferguson, Simon Pegg, and Tom Cruise show up in it because she was filming Mission Impossible at the time. And it's really funny how, she was just speaking French throughout the whole movie too. So, and I just really thought that was a fun little twist, because usually it's a bigger, silent dude, and it's really cool to see not a bruiser be the silent type, but an assassin, because for some reason that's not super common. Usually the assassins in these types of movies are quipsters that go like, oh, don't worry, this will be quick, and then like takes out a sword or whatever. So it's really cool to see that like shit just flipped upside down, and I really enjoyed Pom Clementief's performance and all that. I just love how this is one of the few franchises that the moment the characters are in different countries and they don't just default speak English with accents, they take the time to, they're speaking the language of the country, we'll put subtitles on screen. I really like that. I personally don't like when every movie just goes, oh yeah, no, these people are speaking English, but they're speaking English but with their accents, because that's what they normally do, not their native language or whatever. And I'd really enjoy that in just film, period. Acting, solid hand grenade score. Now, expectations and experience. I absolutely loved it. My theater was packed, and everyone was loving it. Everyone laughed at all of the jokes. A lot of funny sequences that also like came from a moment of the action sequences. This one really had just enough for everything except for probably a definitive conclusion for some. I understand that I think a lot of people won't like this one as much as I do, but I do have to say that this year probably we've gotten the least boring part 1 of 2s that I've ever seen. Like, easily the 2 best part 1 of 2s that I have seen, period, in Across the Spider-Verse and Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, which is a mouthful to say. But both super entertaining, super worthwhile, solid hand grenade from experience. And to conclude, this is a hand grenade movie. I can't wait to rewatch this movie. I might go see it again while it's still in IMAX. I don't know. It really depends on what my wallet is thinking. The Barbenheimer is next. Be ready for that because I'm excited for that one. But other than that, comment down below if you've seen Mission Impossible, if you liked this one, or if you thought it was like, yeah, I can't wait for part 2. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you haven't already. Other than that, I'll leave you guys to it.